So here we are again talking about video games. This time NBC News are now linking the alt-right to video games. Yes, I'm not actually kidding. Here is the video itself, and it's actually at best laughable and at worst asinine and disingenuous. By their logic, every single person who plays games are Nazis. So I might as well chant Hail Brocken, Red Rain of Berlin. Well, now that honestly feels weird using it with a sense of irony.
Before white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and white nationalists marched in Charlottesville, Virginia in August, they were organizing behind a computer screen. And a lot of that organizing happened through a messaging service called Discord, which was originally created to connect video game players to one another. This is just the latest in the long-running shared history between the gaming community and the alt-right.
Gaming culture has always been racist, it's always been sexist, but the internet has sort of allowed us to just sort of see what has always been there.
Emma Vossen is a PhD candidate studying how sexism seeded in gaming is replicated in the real world. Her study is based on Gamergate, a movement that began with intimidating and harassing female video game journalists under the guise of fairness in video game journalism. The harassment quickly gained traction. It helped catalyze the alt-right movement, which secured power and prominence during the 2016 election cycle.
When you were studying Gamergate and you were really looking at the techniques that they use, it's impossible not to see the same techniques being used by Trump supporters.
According to Vossen, the gamers and the alt-right share common ground.
As people who are marginalized are fighting for equality, those who've traditionally had privilege, especially white men, feel that they are being oppressed by these people who are trying to just be treated as equal.
Why do you hate black people? African Americans.
They're dirty, they're stingy, and they're just gross.
Xbox Live and PlayStation Network both allow players to chat live while gaming. They have become havens for hate speech against women and minorities.
What I had noticed and witnessed was what I call linguistic profiling, just based on how somebody sounds. They kind of lash out in very inappropriate ways.
Who votes for Mission? They allow girls to play Call of Duty in America?
Wow, they allow morons to play Call of Duty in America?
Not everyone in the gaming community is sexist or racist. We are having this sort of internal cultural problem with sexist and racist gamers.
So, what happens when these behaviors move from the gaming world to the real world? Keegan Hanks studies the progression of the alt-right on the web.
Discord, as a platform, kind of had a meteoric rise in the alt-right. I think many of the members of the alt-right were actually aware of it because they were also members of the video game community. Many of them are. Discord became almost a requirement for a lot of these people if you wanted to be actively involved in the movement.
Discord is anonymous and lightly monitored, which allowed the alt-right to control communications and access for thousands of users. Some Discord servers controlled by alt-right leaders made users post pictures of their Caucasian skin in order to participate. This allowed the alt-right to centralize its message and disseminate information around the Charlottesville rallies. Discord service played a substantial role in fomenting the riots that led to the death of Heather Heyer. After facing pressure, Discord shut down the servers used to organize in Charlottesville. The company stated, "We will continue to take action against white supremacy, Nazi ideology, and all forms of hate." Perhaps not surprisingly, James Alex Fields Jr., the white supremacist charged for Heyer's death, was no stranger to video games. In 2010, his mother filed a complaint against him, claiming he struck her in the head and locked her in the bathroom because she told him to stop playing video games.
They claim that gaming culture has always been racist and sexist. No, it actually hasn't, because how comes there are esports events in Korea? Why do Arabs play Rainbow Six Siege? Why do black people play FIFA or Call of Duty, if the gaming culture is racist? Let alone some studies says there are roughly 50% of gamers being female or at least 2/3 RDS purchasing games, depending on what source you use. That to me is bollocks. I won't mince my words and deny that racism doesn't happen, same with sexism, but the regularity isn't as so, like I'm going to explain in the next paragraph. So out of their example they only found one person being racist. Let alone truth, they use abuse, but it actually does work, even though it's nasty business. Trolling honestly does work to put another player off. Although racial abuse in my personal experience was almost non-existent. Same with sexism was also nearly non-existent. Does it mean that sort of thing doesn't happen? No. I'd heard more of your mother insults or your girlfriend is currently sucking on my dong remarks more than all of the above. Actually, there again I haven't really heard any homophobic remarks in my personal experience either, just by thinking about it. Oh yeah, and the whole #Gamergate happened due to gaming journos and game devs were being a bunch of shady cunts and paid each other off to get better reviews even though certain games sucked historically. One of the most famous games that had great reviews was Driver 3, and that totally sucked as a game. When they mention about gamers having privilege, that again isn't true. Back in the 90s it was somewhat okay for me, until I first moved to Chatham, and heck my family couldn't even afford to get the latest games on PS2, let alone we could hardly afford to purchase one in the first place. Granted that now I have an Xbox One, but that was solely due to having a job. That's a leap in the space of close to 15 years. Whilst even at school I was mocked for not having an Xbox 360 until I was in my final year at school. So yeah, that privilege thing they speak of is actually bollocks. I'm not sure about everyone else in their circumstances, to be honest on that one. What's even funnier is how they shot themselves in the foot when they mention Discord has anonymous groups and say they're outright at the same time. It's either one or the other, it can't exactly be both unless you ended up forcing Discord to hand over data by using Freedom of Information Act 1967 US or Freedom of Information Act 2000 in the United Kingdom. Also, what proof do they actually have that Discord was directly involved with Charlottesville? I mean, even jihadists used online multiplayer to plan out the infamous Bataclan attack. Although I think they played Battlefield 3 or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But even the FBI hasn't confirmed their unsupported claims, let alone the United States Department of Homeland Security hasn't claimed it or NSA. So where is their proof? Because it sounds like burden of proof to me. They even used Alex, the guy who killed Heather, as proof video games are dangerous, when in reality it's due to him being batshit insane. There's no way around that one. Now what I also find funny is that they purposely used video footage of white gamers for their hit piece, when they seem to forget that there are actually some East Asians in the alt-right. I.E. tequila. Isn't that also racist to only show white folk and not include every other race? What doesn't help their cause and keep on giving ammo to the alt-right, let alone the far-right, is by blaming everything on white people, and that's actually getting tiresome. It's actually again stupid blaming shit on games like Hillary Clinton famously has done, let alone evangelical Christians done the same and they got laughed at. So do they really expect video gamers to not create YouTube videos and not refute their points, laugh at their claims? They got to be pretty moronic to not expect some form of backlash and end up creating Gamergate 2 or something along the lines like that. By also disrespecting your audience by name calling would only end up destroying not just your credibility, integrity, but also their profits, reputation, getting sued for libel damages and getting close to bankruptcy just like Salon are. I cannot wait until the day the alt media ends up destroying these asinine assholes. The sooner the bloody better, to be honest with you. Oh, I honestly swear this would give me a brain tumor for spouting this fucking fallacy and honestly need to drink tea to calm me down due to this fucking god-awful mess of a video, explaining to viewers that even the unhinged left has thumbed down the video.